Welcome to IndyStar's Pit Pass Live, the podcast version. I'm race insider Jim Ayello, and I'm joined by Clark Wade, the video coordinator and producer. He's the one that makes all of our Pit Pass Live videos look so pretty. How you doing, Clark?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. You just said a minute ago this is our one-off.
Yeah, this is a one-off podcast.
Well, maybe we'll try to sneak in one more after Carb Day. We'll see if we can get that done. But what we're here to talk about to preview the Indianapolis 500. We're going to go row by row here real quick just to kind of fill you in on who's going to be starting where. We're going to talk about our favorites, some dark horses, some really good storylines. There's a lot coming up here for you. So let's get right into it. I'll start with the front row, starting with pole sitter Scott Dixon, who just blew everybody away on Sunday with a 232 miles an hour average, the only guy to do it.
Yeah, that was surprising to me because I really thought Ed Carpenter was going to come right out and shoot off a 233 and take the pole away from Scott Dixon, but Scott was pretty strong out there. That's
what everybody was wondering. As soon as Dixon finished up, I know there was Takuma Sato was in between, but I think everyone was wondering, all right, what does Ed have now? Yeah. Ed's coming with something. And he did. I mean, he showed I think he flashed a 232 on that first lap, and then just wasn't able to keep it going. So Scott will be still on the pole. He'll be followed by, right in the middle there will be Ed Carpenter, who said he does not bothered at all by starting in the middle. And has a great car. He's been fast all week. He's been fast in practice, fast in qualifying. He's going to be a legitimate threat, but we'll talk about that later. And finally, on the end of the first row, it will be reigning Indianapolis 500 champion Alexander Rossi, who I know you like going into this race.
Yes, I do like Alexander Rossi coming in. I know he won last year on fuel strategy, but I think this year he's going to prove that that's not a fluke.
He was saying, he was determined to get into the Fast 9 and prove to everybody he had a great car last year. He's got a great car this year. So he's determined to make sure everyone knows that even if he doesn't win, if he puts up a good finish, that last year was no fluke.
Top 5 finish.
Yeah. I think that would pretty much solidify the fact that last year was no fluke. So starting on row 2 will be a Rossi teammate, Takuma Sato, and right to his inside there will be the Formula One star, the one everybody's talking about, Fernando Alonso. We know at this point, I think, Clark, he's got a shot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he does have a shot. He's been so focused all month. Nothing has faced this guy at all. I mean, it won't surprise me at all if he finishes in the top 3.
It's impressive. You're supposed to struggle more when you haven't faced an oval before than this guy has, and he's just running through traffic. I don't know. He keeps talking about traffic being the one thing he's not sure of, and it'll be different on Sunday, of course. But I think
to start the race, since he's in the second row there, I think traffic won't be a problem to start the race. But as the race gets into past the 100th lap, he starts getting into traffic. That could pose a problem, and then maybe just coming in and out of the pits, because that's different than the simulation that they try during practice week and going out and doing it for real when all the cars are coming into the pits. So
true. But, if there's anybody that's a cool customer and that won't get to, it's this guy. He just laughs off everything. Everything's no problem, having fun.
Yeah. Nothing has phased him.
Nothing. So. All right, on the final driver on row 2 will be J.R. Hildebrand, Ed Carpenter's teammate at Ed Carpenter Racing. He's had a great and kind of a quietly great week. He's been not as fast as Ed Carpenter all week, but right up there with him. So, and he's been great on ovals. He's had some good finishes here at the 500. We'll get back to him later too. On row 3, starting on the inside will be Tony Kanaan of Chip Ganassi Racing, and we have our final Andretti Autosport car in the front row. I'm sorry, in the front 3 rows, Marco Andretti. And finally, we have a Team Penske car, which is just crazy that we had to go this long without mentioning one.
Doesn't that just blow your mind?
It's nuts.
Penske has always dominated during qualifications. There's always been Penske's in the first 2 rows.
Yeah, Brody Miller wrote recently, I think this is the first time that we haven't seen 2 Penske's in the top 3 rows since 2011. At least 2. There's usually more, like you said. And so I think we've gone this long without actually saying who it is. It's Will Power, who I know you're a huge fan of.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that soon.
We'll get into that later.
That's going to be our big finish.
It's our cage match later.
So Will Power will be the final guy on row 3. So now we're going to talk about, we're not going to go through the rest of the rows, but we will talk about a few rows that intrigue us. I'm calling them I gave away the cool headline, but there are our rows of intrigue, if you will. I'm starting with row 8. Row 8 makes me, there's just guys on that right there that I think all have a legitimate shot at winning. It starts with Joseph Newgarden, the Team Penske driver, who's already won a race this year. He knows how important it is to his boss to get in victory circle. And you and I were talking about before the show started here. He's such a talented driver. He can really... I'm surprised he's starting this far back. Obviously, the Penske Chevys just didn't have the speed to match what the other Hondas or even Ed Carpenter's Penske's had. But Newgarden's going to be a contender in this one, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. When we get to our picks later, I'll talk a little bit more about Joseph Newgarden. Also, 2 Penske's in that row, and then you have Carlos Munoz, who's finished second a couple times here, and
Munoz, let's say he's a threat every time he gets onto this track. I know he's had a real rough year with Foyt Racing, but two runner-up finishes, you can't really count him out. So the row 8, I keep an eye on that. I know the first 3 rows are what everybody talks about, but keep an eye on row 8. What row do you is your row of intrigue?
My row of intrigue is row 6. We got Charlie Kimball, who's finished top 5 finish the last 2 years. Hinchcliffe was a pole sitter last year, and then you got Juan Pablo Montoya, the 2-time winner, who's a bulldog and can just work his way up through traffic with ease. And plus, he has this attitude of he doesn't care where he qualifies.
Yeah.
He can just work his way through the traffic. I
love the way he's been talking all week. He's like, I don't care where I qualify. It doesn't matter. I've won this race. I fell back to last in 2015, and I was able to come all the way to the front. And he did. He was right. So, I mean, and we've heard a lot of drivers, Ryan Hunter-Reay said it. If you have a good car, it doesn't matter where you qualify. And Juan Pablo said recently he thinks he has the car, the most similar setup of the Penske's to Will Power. So he thinks he's going to be right there along with Will. So if Will has a good race, Juan should have a good race. He's obviously one of the most talented drivers in this field. And I believe he's your one-off pick.
Yes, he is my one-off pick. Your one-off pick is Alonso.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy pick.
Yeah, well, I don't think Juan Pablo is much of a stretch here.
Well, no. Well, Montoya's going to have to work his way through the pack, and Alonso, I think he's got a good shot, but I'm taking Montoya. Montoya, like I said, he's a bulldog. He can work his way through traffic all month long. He's just been so relaxed. He said there's no pressure on him since it's just a one-off. So I feel like, of all the one-offs this year, I think he's got the best shot.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think enough people are talking about the threat that Montoya poses, but to just right now, it's hard to go against the momentum Alonso has going. He's on the right team. We've seen that. We got 5 Andretti cars in the front 10 here. He's been unbelievably good and consistent on an oval. I was talking to Kurt Cavan, the guy who had my job last year, and he was floored by how well Alonso has been able to adapt to the oval here. One of the biggest things I think was important about how good he has been doing. And Johnny Rutherford was saying this, Mario Andretti was saying this when I asked him about Alonso, is that he's asking smart questions. He's already asking advanced questions for the oval, things that other drivers are asking or trying to figure out. It hasn't taken him long to pick it up and adapt and understand what he needs to do out here. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it for a guy who's never really done it in an oval, never really gone these speeds on an oval. I've been so impressed by what he's been able to do, and he'll be a legitimate contender. That said, there are some other interesting one-offs, and we should mention Juan Pablo raced in the Grand Prix, so he's not technically a one-off, but I mean that's for all intents and purposes. He said he didn't care about the Grand Prix. So we have, let's see, Oriol Servia is starting on row 4. We have Jay Howard and Sage Karam in row 7, Gabby Chavez and Jack Harvey in row 9, and Pippa Mann and Buddy Lazier in row 10. And Sebastian Saavedra and Zach Veach in row 11. We also have James Davison, who's filling in for Sebastian Bourdais in row 11. He'll be starting last. But any other of those one-offs intrigue you? I know we kind of picked the 2 easiest guys with Montoya and Alonso. But
I think Oriol Servia has a good shot. He's with a great team, Ray Hall team, Letterman. He's been pretty quick. His best finish was in 2012. He finished 4th. The prior year, he finished 6th. He hasn't done so well since. But I think he's. As far as one-offs go, if the field gets flipped, he could. If he gets the lead, I think he's got a fast enough car where he can stay out front.
Yeah, I think there's a gap. I mean, if you look at it, I think it's Alonso and Montoya are pretty much the 2 biggest one-off guys, and then there's probably a big space in between. But I do think Servia is pretty much the clear 3 there.
Yeah.
I think other guys will contend, but like you said, for the most part, unless the field flips, I don't think any of them really have a shot beyond Alonso and Montoya. Then again, Servia's been quick. Ray Hall himself seems to have figured out some speed. They were able to put up 230s during qualifying, so we'll see what happens. They're both really talented drivers, but but I think Oriol Servia kind of takes the cake for the one-offs not named Alonso. And it would be a very cool story if Servia did win. It's his 200th IndyCar race. He's a veteran. He's a nice guy. Everybody seems to like him on the paddock. But you have another guy that you think would be an even cooler story if they won.
Actually, I have 1 and 1A. Okay. I have 2.
Okay.
Ed Carpenter would be a great story, local guy.
Yeah.
He's always fast in qualifying, but has never won the race. Big fan favorite here.
Yeah.
And my other guy is Carlos Munoz. That guy looked like he needed a hug last year, finishing 2nd, heartbreaking. He thought he was going to win the race, but with Rossi's fuel strategy pulling out the win, it was devastating to Munoz.
I was talking to the Ed Carpenter people the other day, the Ed Carpenter Racing people, I should say, and they were saying they just kept watching Rossi thinking he was going to pit. Like, okay, 4 laps to go, he's going to pit. Okay, 3 laps to go, he's got to pit. Okay, 2 laps to go, he has to pit. And the reason I said the Ed Carpenter people was because that's where Newgarden was, and Newgarden and Munoz were fighting for 2-3 right there. And I got a chance to ask Munoz earlier this year if he thought he had the win. He wouldn't go as far as to say he thought he had it, but he was just as confident as everybody else. They kept telling him, Rossi's got to pit. It's going to be you and Newgarden. And he was heartbroken. We saw those photos afterward. Some of the most devastating photos. I know everybody will remember Rossi winning, but it's hard not to remember those devastating photos. Munoz crying on his teammates' shoulders. I can't. For me, I want him to either win or finish in the back somewhere, because I don't think he can take another heartbreak like he faced last year.
Absolutely not. And last year he was quoted after the race saying that he will win this race one day. And I think his time is coming, but I don't know if the team is right now. I'm not sure the Foyt team is going to be strong enough to contend with the Ganassi's and the Penske's. And
I totally agree. Munoz mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago, that this car, they're just not up to speed right now. Larry Foyt said something similar too. I just don't know that they're ready for this race yet. Be a great story if he got it. And we should get back to Ed. Ed is, I mean, he's definitely not a long shot going into this race.
Yeah.
He's got obviously he's starting in the middle of the first row, so he's got the car to win. He's been good on oval. He's had a little bit of bad luck recently. I remember talking to him in Phoenix, and he finished the race, and he was just like, it was just good to know that I could finish a race again, because he's been in some crashes. He's had some mechanical problems. He was really, really happy to get a whole race under his belt and know that he can go.
Yeah, it gives him
Start
some
to
confidence
finish.
coming into this race.
Absolutely, and clearly he has it, right? I mean, he's been fast all week, and then he was on Saturday, he blew everybody away, and then on Sunday, like you said, we thought maybe he had something for Dixon at the end, but starting in the middle.
It won't surprise me come race day that Carpenter jumps right out front of Dixon in the first couple laps and lead for a while.
My cool story, I mean, a guy that I just think everyone would love to see win, at least by the fan perspective, is Marco Andretti and breaking that Andretti curse. We haven't seen an Andretti in Victory Circle
It's been
since
a long time.
1969 was the last time we saw an Andretti in Victory Circle.
I was 1 year old.
I was not even close. I don't even know if my parents were together yet.
The last time Andretti won, the Beatles were still together.
It's been a long time, and Marco's been close. I mean, God, all the Andrettis have been close. At one point, Michael was close. Mario came close a few times himself, obviously after the win and before the win.
Okay.
They've all been really close, and I've talked to a few fans, a few friends that said they really would love to see an Andretti win. I remember talking to some people with IMS that were saying it would just be great to see another Andretti in Victory Circle. It would be important to the sport.
That would be a big story.
Exactly. To have that family back in Victory Circle and celebrating again, it would kind of brings everything full circle. It'd be very, very cool. So that would be my cool story pick. I don't know that it's going to happen though. It's
when it comes to picking winners, it's hard to pick a winner.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
so many crazy things can happen here at the track. J.R. Hildebrand. Turn 4.
Yeah.
He's so close. Yeah, and it's devastating. 1989, Emerson Fittipaldi and Al Unser touching wheels with 2 laps to go.
I've been working on that 67 story with Parnelli Jones in the turbine car. I mean, everybody thought he had it until 3.5 laps to go, and then all of a sudden, $6 part breaks, and it's AJ Foyt that comes out. I mean, it's crazy. Anything can happen.
Including fuel strategy last year.
Yeah, exactly. Fuel strategy. I mean, there's going to be a lot of different things that can happen going into the race. So, with that said, and with that in mind, who are you thinking is going to win the race, knowing it's impossible to pick it?
Yeah, it is impossible to pick it. There hasn't been a winner in the top 3 rows since 2011, I believe. 2012, it's Franchitti, started 16th. Kanaan, 12th, and 2013, Ryan Hunter-Reay 19th the next year. Montoya 2 years ago started 15th, and then Alexander Rossi 11th last year. We're going to pick 3.
Yeah, we're going to pick 3 guys that we think
have to pick 3 for the paper, so we're just going to go ahead and give them to you now.
Yeah, we're going to spoil that for you.
Yeah, we're going to exactly. My first pick is Alexander Rossi. I think this year he could win it and will win it, and he's going to show that last year wasn't a fluke. Another pick, Ryan Hunter-Reay.
I like that pick.
Yes, he qualified faster than Takuma Sato, who's sitting in the inside of row 2. So I think he's got a really fast car. He can work his way probably 2 or 3 spots in the first couple of laps. My last pick, if the field gets flipped because of a yellow or a crash, some sort of a crash or something happens in the race.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I think Joseph Newgarden can work his way up to the front and come out ahead. I think he's good enough. He's a good enough driver. He may not be the fastest driver, but he's very good. He's a very good racer.
I completely agree. I don't necessarily think he has the best car going into the race, but we've seen how talented he is the last couple of years. Obviously, he was third last year, and he won a race this year. He's been floating around the top 5. He's had a little bit of bad luck here and there, but he's mostly been consistent, been a great driver. But I got to tell you, you stole one of my picks. I'm a little mad about it. I love Ryan Hunter-Reay going into this race. He's kind of a sleeper pick. I mean, obviously, you can't call a defending champion, 2014 champ, a sleeper pick. But man, that guy's just got the right team. He was so fast in practice, and he was so mad at himself afterward. I remember hearing him tell us that he was just so frustrated that he couldn't get that speed going on Saturday so he could get himself into the Fast 9. He was saying that he and Sebastian Bourdais both belonged in the Fast 9. Obviously, Bourdais had a wreck and wasn't able to compete, but he had turned some really fast laps as well. But yeah, Ryan Hunter-Reay, I think, is absolutely a threat to win. I really think he can win and will if the right things break his way.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a really, really boring pick for my other one.
Uh-oh.
Her number 2 is Scott Dixon.
Win from the pole.
Win from the pole. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Counted them up this morning. There's been 20 winners from the pole. I think he can make it 21 this year. He's been, it just feels right. Like the storyline is writing itself. He has finished in the 5 races, finished in the top 5 all 5 times, yet has not won. It just kind of feels like, you know what, he's going to score one now. And he's already, like I said, he's another one who knows how to win here. He clearly knows how to go fast here with that 232 he posted. I just love the way Scott Dixon has been driving, how confident he feels, how relaxed. Nothing is going to shake this guy. If this is kind of one of those things where if the race would have to kind of play out boring almost, like nothing crazy happens, right? And he just goes coast to coast. Maybe not, but again, he's the kind of guy that if something crazy happened, he could bounce back anyway. My third pick, I don't know. You got to tell me if you think this is a dark horse pick or not. I'm going with J.R. Hildebrand. Tell me if you think that's coming out of left field considering he's starting on.
No, I don't think that's a dark horse pick at all. He's had 4 top 10 finishes, including second place in 2011.
And obviously that was a devastating finish for him, having crashed in turn 4. We talked about that before. But clearly he has the history of success here, like you mentioned. He's been really good on ovals. Ed Carpenter says he brought him in for the whole season, and because he's a talented driver on every kind of racetrack, and that's true. I'm not calling Ed a liar, but Ed really, really cares about the Indy 500, and
yes, he does.
J.R. Hildebrand is a very, very, very talented oval driver, and this is what he's here for. He's here. He's ready to want an oval. He actually showed. I know Phoenix is not exactly comparable. Obviously, it's a much shorter oval, but he was third place, and right up next to the Penske's. I really like J.R. Hildebrand this time around, and I think he's going to be around all race. That's the other thing too. I don't think he's ever going to fall out of the top 10 or anything like that, unless something crazy happens. But he's clearly got the car. Those Chevys right now of Carpenter and Hildebrand should be scaring everybody because they're really, really fast. All right, I want to ask you, now that we've gone through our 3 main picks each, who is kind of your dark horse pick now that we determined J.R. Hildebrand is not? Who's your dark horse?
My dark horse pick is rookie Ed Jones. He was the second fastest yesterday practice behind Max Chilton at 228.118. He seemed to be fast all month long right now. And, if things go the right way, perfect pit stops, a couple yellow flags here, there, he could work his way up towards the front.
I really like that pick. He's been, like you said, he's been fast all week. He is the Dale Coyne driver, we should mention. He's kind of got, Dale Coyne's going to have to put all his eggs in that basket now with Sebastian out.
Yes.
Pippa and Davison, I'm sure he's going to give them everything that they need to try to do well, but it's Ed Jones right now for him. That's the guy he's got a great shot to win with. And he's, like you said, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying the same thing you are, is that he's just kind of been the least talked about really good story. He's been so consistent all week. I think if there's any rookie, we've seen rookies do it, right? We saw Rossi do it last time.
Yep.
I think, again, if you're going to talk about maybe not a one-off like Alonso, but also a rookie, Ed Jones is a great pick. I really, really like that pick. The guy for me, and this is just kind of a personal thing. I don't know why. He's been fast, but I'm going to go with Graham Rahal as my dark horse pick. I heard them in a news conference the other day, and it was Bobby and Graham, and they were talking about what it would mean to them as a family to win the Indianapolis 500 together. And Bobby was saying that just picturing it, just talking about it, was giving him chills. And for whatever reason, while he was saying that, I started to kind of picture it. And I guess I don't have any real more evidence than that. Graham he's been okay at the 500. He hasn't had any great finishes or anything like that.
He's just kind of
But they've shown some speed. He's up at 230. Honda's the car to have, obviously, right now, as long as it doesn't burst into flames, which a few of them have. They've been the faster car. I think 5 Hondas this year have had the engines blow, so it's a risk to pick a Honda engine. But I do think Graham Rahal would be a great story, and maybe that's where maybe I'm picking more with my heart than my head on this one, but I kind of like that one. So,
Okay.
all right, let's get to the cage match here.
All right.
I've been telling you all month that Will Power looks like the driver to beat, and I didn't put my money where my mouth was and pick him. I should have, but it scared me a little bit when he was on the end of row 3. Anyway, you were telling me that Will Power is not only is he not going to win, he is not even a contender.
No, absolutely not. Tony Kanaan has said, I think this track will pick the winner. This track will never pick Will Power.
That's ridiculous.
Ever.
All right, why?
Okay. Here's his finishes. 13th, 5th, 8th, 14th, 28th, 19th, 8th, 2nd, 10th. His average finish is 19th. Doesn't fare well on ovals. He only has 4 oval wins. And I'm going to take one of those wins away because it was the Texas race that they split in half and did the blind draw for the starting lineup. And Will Power won that race. And Dario Franchitti, who had won the first race, had to start at the back of the pack with Scott Dixon, and they had to spend the entire race working their way up. So he had no competition winning that race. So I can't count that race.
Okay, so that's it. That's all you got for me? No, okay. Here's what I got. I got a heartfelt plea from a man who knows what a good storyline is. I was talking to Donald Davidson recently, and he was telling me some of the guys that he hopes would win. And he said one of the guys that would mean the most to, the first name that came out of his mouth was Will Power.
Really?
Yes. He said Will Power would just be in tears if he was the one standing in victory circle come the end of Sunday. And if Donald Davidson wants it, and Donald Davidson thinks it's possible, then I'm going to go with Donald Davidson over you. No offense. Actually, yes, offense. Donald Davidson knows what he's talking about. No. And the other thing is, too, Will Power, I talked to him about this very issue recently in a story that I wrote about whether he had a chance to sweep May. Obviously, that's gone away now that he didn't win the pole. But he was talking about how recently he has felt so confident every racetrack he's gone to. He said it doesn't matter, road course, street course, oval. He feels like he has a chance to win. He finished second in Phoenix. It's not first. You're right. But he was second a couple years ago to Juan Pablo Montoya at this track. He was right there in the hunt. I think Will Power, you're right, historically, not been great on ovals. I completely agree with you. But I think he has improved. And he just... I don't know. There's just this confidence he's driving with right now. He's been so good all year. I know the results don't show it early because he got into a little thing with Charlie Kimball early on and had a mechanical issue. He got the flat tire in Alabama. So his results aren't perfect, but he has been probably, I think, the best driver in the series this year. And if he has the car to do it, I think he can. You're not on board,
Yeah,
though. Does not convince you at all? I thought the Donald Davidson thing might do it for you.
If Will Power wins, I've seen his press conferences after wins, and he just seems so, yeah, I won. Okay, yep. And I'm like, okay.
See, wouldn't that be great?
Would he be excited if he won the Indianapolis 500? I don't know if I can confidently say that he would be excited that he won it.
He would.
It's just another race to him, I feel like.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that's true. I think we would see the tears. I think it would mean a ton to him. He's been in the series for such a long time. He's a series champion, as you know. Obviously never a 500 champion, but this would kind of seal the he's already one of the great drivers in the series, but I think a 500 victory would make him one of the great drivers of his era, if he isn't already. But I do disagree with you. I think you would see the emotion that you've been so craving from Will Power, that you want to see out of Will Power. He's not. You know what? He's not Ayello. He's not gonna go crazy and berserk for you. He's got a little more Scott Dixon in him. But I think you're right. During the press conferences, you should bring that up. He does.
I just like him to smile.
Yeah, he doesn't smile much. He does. He has a tendency to kind of space out a little bit during.
Yeah, exactly.
He admitted it actually recently. He was talking about how he just kind of his mind wanders and stuff. I mean, nice guy. You're right. I think it would be nice for fans to see, including yourself,
some sort of emotion.
Some more emotion. Yeah, even after he won the pole at the Grand Prix, somebody said, "Can we see a little emotion?" I think I heard one of the photographers say, "Can we see a little emotion?" And he goes, I'll show emotion when I win the race." He's a business. I mean, it's all business for him. And I think, again, would you say here? Let me see if I can get you here. You don't, as a Penske, you don't think he's got the best shot as a Penske? I know you picked Newgarden as if the field flipped, but if you're talking about right now going into Sunday, does he have the best shot of any Penske?
Well, he is starting 9th, and Ayello is starting way back. It's row 7, inside row 7. So okay.
I think this is a minor victory if I get this.
If you put all 4 Penske's out there, yes.
5.
Five.
Don't
Yes.
forget about Juan.
Yes, Juan. I'm sorry. Yes. If you put all 5 Penske's out there, then yes, Will Power has the best shot at winning.
I'll take that as a minor victory. That's all I can do.
Very minor.
All right. Well, we really thank you guys for joining us for this this podcast version of Pit Pass Live. You can tune into the actual version of Pit Pass Live, which will be presented by Verizon on Sunday morning. We have a live show coming up on IndyStar.com and on Facebook. We'll have some really great guests for you guys.
From 9 to 11?
From 9 to 11. I can't tell you who the guests are because it is Tuesday and we haven't locked them in officially yet, but we have a couple potential big stars coming.
I'm kind of excited about this.
I'm hoping those get locked down, but I don't want to promise anything we can't deliver. But anyway, we appreciate you guys joining us. Join us again Sunday for what should be a really, really exciting 101st running of the Indianapolis 500.